How black people really feel.
For almost 100 years, black athletes have used their platform to speak out against social injustice. In 1967, the most prominent athletes chose the city of Cleveland to defend Muhammad Ali. 17 years later, a child was born a few miles from Cleveland. Would he be able to continue the dreams of those at the summit in Cleveland? Why the city of Cleveland? Now showing Child of the Summit on the Greatness 5 channel, filling your history in minutes.
Could end with you. There's nothing comes so soon.
June 4th, 1967, the most prominent black athletes gathered in the city of Cleveland, Ohio, to defend the religious beliefs of Muhammad Ali.
Whoa. I know this is a short documentary, but it's impossible to understand why all these black athletes were at the Cleveland Summit without understanding the racial climate in Cleveland and in Cleveland sports before that time. Let's go to the timeline.
Three months after Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in baseball, a former military vet, Larry Doby, signed to play baseball with the Cleveland Indians. Most people remember Jackie Robinson's pain, but very few remember the pain and pure hell that Larry Doby went through while playing for the Cleveland Indians. Doby's first day joining the team, very few shook his hand, and most of the handshakes were cold. Two plainclothes policemen escorted the mild-mannered Doby to the game. He was made to stay in a segregated hotel by himself. He was told to never show any emotion on the field. He was constantly racially abused by opposing teams. And although Doby had slowly reached all-star level, he tried to buy a home in an all-white section in Paterson, New Jersey, but the neighborhood committee denied him and his wife. Instead of understanding Doby's pain, a Cleveland sports reporter, Frank Lewis, wrote, "He's gifted, but downright surly to his teammates."
You know, as I look into the eyes of Larry Doby, I can't help but wonder how many of you are watching this that have to go to work tomorrow and will be called a disgruntled employee if you're not smiling from ear to ear. And the sad part is, you're expected to smile in the face of blatant injustice, but you gotta give that smile.
Despite all the pain that Larry Doby had endured, he had one moment that lived in baseball history, Cleveland history, and American history. On October 9, 1948, Doby hit a home run that would help pitcher Steve Gromick win a World Series game. And after the game, Gromick hugged Doby cheek to cheek in a picture that was shown nationwide. Gromick received criticism and death threats for hugging a black man. But for Larry Doby, it was one of the greatest moments of his life. Because up until that moment, it wasn't about being black anymore. It was the first time that Larry Doby felt like a human being playing in Cleveland. For the people of Cleveland, the picture signified small changes. Changes they weren't ready for. Changes that wouldn't necessarily bring smiles and happy days. Changes that would eventually bring riots to the city of Cleveland in 1966.
And they know this, and we teach the kids their rights in the African history and culture. And due to the fact that I've been standing up for 5 years and was fired from the city of Cleveland and refused to beg for my job back.
Some of these changes were coming throughout America from a new outspoken athlete who was angry and tired of being treated like a second-class citizen.
And our beautiful black African history. We don't hate you. We don't hate those of you who are white. We just want to stay black.
His objections to the Vietnam War would bring him and several star athletes to the city of Cleveland for what was called the Summit. Now showing on the Greatness 5 channel, two high school basketball stars, both named Reggie Miller. One is in the Hall of Fame, but the other, Reggie Miller's life changed in 5 seconds. She was ridiculed as a child for her skin color, but despite it all, she grew into a beautiful black butterfly. Don't miss any of these episodes showing on the Greatness 5 channel. Feeling your history in minutes. Subscribe now. June 4th, 1967, a group of prominent black athletes meet in Cleveland, Ohio to support Ali's religious beliefs. Among this group was Bill Russell, leader of the Celtics and supporter of the civil rights movement, Jim Brown, the best football player in the world, Lou Alcindor, aka Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the best college basketball player in the world. This was one of the first moments of collective activism amongst black athletes in America.
To this day, I don't think people understand the bravery behind creating the summit. Because you see, during this time period, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Robert F. Kennedy, and Malcolm X were all assassinated. So what was to stop some gunman from killing any one of these men for creating this summit?
We came out of friendship to Muhammad Ali.
The summit didn't directly change Ali's situation because he was eventually banned from boxing. But the spirit of the summit gave birth to black athletic unity. Exactly 9 months after the summit, another birth took place. Frida James gave birth to Gloria James. And 16 years later, Gloria James gave birth to LeBron James in the city of Akron.
All aboard!
It's rare, but there are times when the birthplace of a child will tell you a little bit about who and what they're going to be. And despite the abject poverty that LeBron James faced as a child, the ancestors beyond the Cleveland summit were whispering.
And I think to myself, what
Founded in 1825, Akron, Ohio was the home of making rubber tires in the United States. Akron has a strong connection to African American history. For many slaves, Akron was part of the Underground Railroad escape path to Canada.
God say good night, and I think to myself.
And for whatever reason, Akron seemed to garner the attention of many black dignitaries around the United States. Sojourner Truth would deliver one of her famous speeches in Akron. W.E.B. Du Bois spoke in Akron. And Marcus Garvey actually set up one of his small organizations in Akron.
Also on the faces.
And as far as race relations, Akron had its fair share of problems. The 1968 riots that took place on Worcester Ave was unforgettable. Perhaps the most disturbing image of Akron's history was this photo taken in 1919, where a group of women were proudly dressed in their WKKK uniforms. Ironically, 1919 was known as Red Summer, the year that black World War I vets were attacked all over the country when they returned to America after fighting for their country overseas.
You know, I'll be the first to say this image doesn't represent the people of Akron. But damn, the history still hurts.
What a wonderful world.
Imagine gathering the greatest dancers of all time in one room. Imagine seeing the greatest dancers of all time on one film. Now showing on the Greatness 5 channel, A Time to Dance. Subscribe now. December 30th, 1984, LeBron Ramon James was born. LeBron James' early years were difficult to say the least. His mother found it hard to find employment, especially when 2 of the 3 tire companies had closed and moved out of state. LeBron's grandmother Frida died suddenly when LeBron was 3 years old, leaving his mother Gloria in charge of her 2 brothers and her child in an old house that was falling apart. Eventually, Gloria and LeBron were forced to move in with anyone who could help them. They often slept on couches and floors just to get by. It was so bad that LeBron missed 100 days of school in the 4th grade. Being alone, playing video games, and using food stamps for snacks became LeBron's way of life. In 1993, LeBron was introduced to the sport of football, which he saw immediate success, scoring on an 80-yard touchdown run on his very first play. Although LeBron had a tremendous love for football, his introduction to basketball was nothing short of a miracle. And by the time LeBron was 16 years old, he was featured on Slam Magazine and Sports Illustrated. Sports Illustrated called him the Chosen One. He was placed in the national spotlight at the age of 16 years old, with unlimited money thrown at him. 99.9% of the time, it's a recipe for disaster. And he's not the first young, nationally recognized athlete from Akron. Boxer Todd Hickman was nationally known, and it didn't end well for him. So what's it like for a young kid that's grown up in poverty to deal with real pressure?
There's no pressure. There's no pressure at all. I've been getting pressure since I was 10 years old.
Perhaps the most prophetic statements LeBron made as a young teen was when he was asked how he would feel if he was ever compared to Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan. And his answer was quite frightening, considering the dreams of those at the summit.
And when I look at that, I say I want to be like Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson, not on the court, but off the court. You know, I'm trying to make my mark off the court too with kids too. You know, everywhere I go, I try to make my mark so when they leave, they say, you know, LeBron James is a good basketball player, but he was better off the court.
It's also important to know, Jim Brown, the lead organizer for the summit, also wanted black athletes to discuss economic empowerment.
What were you doing at the age of 24?
Huey P. Newton and the Black Panther Party.
He had some of the fastest hands in the history of karate.
Michael Look-Up Sledge.
How do you go from being a street hustler to being respected and feared globally?
Malcolm X. Short documentaries, all showing now on the Greatness 5 channel. Feeling your history in minutes. Subscribe now. With the higher powers from the summit asking the child born into poverty to now use his social influence to speak up for Trayvon Martin, Eric Gardner, Colin Kaepernick, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Tyree Nichols.
Like many social activists in the past, I think LeBron quickly learned that in today's social media world, if you speak up for 20 people and you fail to recognize that one person, you can be labeled as a sellout or a coon. And to make matters worse, he was even classified as a dumb jock and was told to shut up and dribble.
We're going to create a new banner. This is a Jum Doc alert. Must they run their mouths like that? So keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
We will definitely not shut up and dribble.
When LeBron left Cleveland, the city he was responsible for bringing billions of dollars worth of income to, they burned his jersey.
Now, I might be a little sensitive and old school, but there's something about a certain group of people burning up stuff when they're angry at us. It just doesn't sit right with me. And if you think I'm being sensitive, just ask NBA legend Dominique Wilkins about the time a cross was burned on his lawn because he didn't want to play college basketball in the state of North Carolina.
The LA home of basketball star LeBron James was vandalized overnight, and police say it was a hate crime.
LeBron James speaking out just a short time ago. Police say a racist slur was spray painted across his home.
That was vandalized, if you will. It was spray painted with the N-word.
The hardest job in America is being black, because it's the one thing you can't outrun. I'm wealthy, I'm well off, I'm financially secure, I'm educated, but I'm still black.
LeBron James has lived a very complex life, a life that very few celebrities can understand. To be famous at 16, coming from pure dysfunction and living a scandal-free life is remarkable.
Is he perfect? Of course not. But before we judge LeBron's behavior, I ask you to look at the kids in your community that are sleeping on floors. You see, we never speak up on their behalf until they become celebrities. Then we seem to find our moral strength to criticize that child, the same child we didn't give a damn about in the first place.
And after his basketball life is over, how will he handle leadership? Kareem had mentors at the summit that taught him how to lead.
Lead me on, help me stand. I'm tired, I am weak, I am worn through the storm, through the night. Lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me home. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, help me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn through the storm, through the night. Lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me home. And lead me home. And lead me home. Lead me home. And lead me home. Lead me home. Lead me home. And lead me home.
LeBron James good, but compared to Michael Jordan, very bad, very bad, dude, bad. Well, a bad mother. Mama call him blue. I'ma call him blue.